Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit that subscribe button if you're new so you don't miss any of our great football content this season. So Lane Kiffin, I've known Lane for a long time, and I think Lane's smart. I think he's, again, gotten better and better. I made this argument, is that you can bounce around Ole Miss, LSU, you can bounce around. They're all, I mean, these days, if Ole Miss can pay 10, LSU pays 11, there's less pressure at Ole Miss. I'd stay at Ole Miss. Oxford's beautiful. That I said, I think actually he could be an NFL coach. And like Harbaugh, he'd walk into the sport for the first 3 years. He knows all these players way better than your GM does.
Yep.
Also, like a Miami, Tua, because of the contractual situation, is going to be your quarterback for a year, but you probably got to draft your next quarterback. And most of these guys are second-round quarterbacks. Well, he knows Nussmeier, and he knows Simpson. He knows all these guys. South Carolina kid. He knows all of them. So by the second round, nobody's going to know those quarterbacks better than Lane Kiffin. He either recruited him, played against him. Do you think Lane Kiffin, do you think he's considering the NFL?
Yeah, I think he is. I think several of them are. I think there's some names considering the NFL that would totally and completely put jaws on the ground if the names ever got public. I think these guys are always considering the NFL. Now, you'd never get the truth out of most of them, but yeah. I mean, look, you know the kind of mentality it takes to succeed at the highest level of college football, especially if you specialize on a side of the ball, goes hand in hand with the kind of mentality that thinks I could win in the NFL. I could win on Sundays. I want to test myself against the best. I want to see how my offense does. And especially with Lane, like you've got the Oakland Raiders chapter in his past. You don't think he wants to make good on that? Dude, I'm a believer. Saban never did it. I'm a believer he wanted to make good on the Miami Dolphins part. Didn't like all of the other extracurricular that comes along with the NFL relative to college. But yeah, I think he would consider it. I think they actively consider it all the time. What I don't know, and I think this is really what the decision comes down to, is what do you personally value the most beyond football? Like some guys hate recruiting. They're looking at the first exit door to get to the NFL.
Right.
Others, they think it's their wheelhouse. They think that's one of their strongest suits. They actually love being around young people. I will never forget when I was coming out of college down in Columbus, and I heard you talking about Parcells one day, and you described him as a meatball with arms. That is what stuck with me. That is what NFL coaches look like relative to college coaches, because you're around adults all day instead of younger adults. So past that, yeah, I think he is considering it.
You know, let me throw this at you. I had a really smart guy tell me this, a current college coach. And he was talking about Ole Miss and the limitations. He said, offensive recruits will follow the coach, right? They'll follow Sark, Lane, Kalen DeBoer. Offensive players, they want to know who the coach is and what the system is. Great defensive players, they want to go to Georgia, Texas, LSU. Not about scheme. I want to get taken care of. I want a little NIL check. I got to play in the trenches. That's the limitation of Ole Miss. When I asked somebody about Ole Miss, they said, Lane's always going to get offensive guys. He goes, offensive guys follow the coach. Defensive guys don't. He's never going to have Georgia's defensive personnel. He's never going to have Bama's. He's never going to have Ohio State's. Defensive guys go to the big schools. You see all sorts of great offenses in the history of college football. You can go to Hawaii. You can go to BYU. Yep. You can go to Indiana. And see a lot of the top 10 college defense of all time. It's a lot of Georgia, Bama, LSU, Michigan. And so this coach said, Lane knows he's limited. When he faces the big dogs in the SEC, he'll have to outscore them. He's not stopping them. Yep. And so that's just something that's something to think about. I thought it was very, very wise.
I think it's been taken into consideration. When you do your pros and cons, there's not going to be a clean list under the cons for any of these jobs.
Right.
So at Ole Miss, that's what you have to ask. But then if you're Lane Kiffin, you have to ask, all right, but what state do I reside in? I reside in Mississippi. The one thing that you're going to say about Mississippi is it pumps out future NFL front defensive talent every year. Now, historically, they've gone to other schools, but that's why it's been case by case a nightmare to play Mississippi State or Ole Miss in certain given years, because they're just freak shows out of Scuba and Philadelphia and Columbus, and you've never heard of those places. Yazoo City, Mississippi, but they got future first round NFL draft picks coming out of there. I
Yeah.
would think to myself, man, if I can keep enough of those guys home, I'm going to get the offensive guys. But like you're right, that is the case. If I'm representing him, and selfishly I want him at LSU or I want him at Florida, I want him at Florida because I'm saying, dude, they've got the track record of offense like you want. Spurrier, even when Urban was there. The difference is you can get the defensive talent down there as well. That's what I'd sell him on.
Yeah, Sark told me this when he was at Washington. He said, I can get first round receivers and tight ends and quarterbacks at Washington. It's defensive tackles.
Yeah.
You can't get them in the Northwest. We just don't have, we may have one every other year who's an elite defensive tackle. And so, that's why, I just think it's a reality of, even in Southern California, as great as that state is right now, USC, if you look at their interior D line recruiting, there's Texas, there's an Oklahoma kid, there's a Texas kid, there's a Minnesota kid, not a lot of LA kids on that defensive front. Now, Lemon, the receiver, Lane's from Arizona, Mayava they got in Vegas, a running back walk-ons from Calabasas. USC's offensive talent, it's a lot of LA kids and West Coast kids. But no, I think Lane's a great example of the willingness to evolve as a human being. I think
Sure.
Lane today is just a much better human being. Not that I know him that well, but there were a lot of people out on Lane, and he went small school one, and I think Nick Saban deserves a lot of credit. Saban took a beat up Lane and a beat up Sark. I mean, that tells you a lot about Nick Saban. Those guys were not, they had lost a lot of glare in college sports.
I mean, that 2015 team he had alone, just doing a deep dive on that staff alone, pretty unbelievable at Alabama that Saban had. But, I mean, I remember when Lane was at Alabama. I remember when Sark had gotten to Alabama, and you're hearing the stories behind the scenes, and you're thinking to yourself, I mean, like one of the greatest magician tricks that I thought about Nick Saban when I first came to sort of see behind the curtain is everyone watched them and they're this machine and they're winning. And so you think, oh, they're free of all the crap that everyone else has to deal with. And then you find out there's tons of infighting there. All of these
Yeah.
coaches are alphas. All of these coaches are type A's. And it's like herding cats. And he somehow
Yeah.
did it. But to do what he did for Lane / with Lane, to do the same thing for / with Sark, that's pretty unbelievable. But the other part of that is at some point, it doesn't matter how much someone else is trying to help you if you don't want to help yourself. So,
Right.
yeah, ton of credit to Nick Saban. Absolutely. It's not like Kiffin's having to rediscover himself at Publix. Like he is coaching major college football. But at some point, you got to look in the mirror and realize I'm a full-grown adult. Like it's up to me. And thankfully he did that.
Finally, what if Ohio State wins the Natty? I think their defense is insane. It's really, really good. You're going to have a Michigan, Ohio State, Ohio State. What's going to be the feeling in the South if Ohio State wins third straight Big Ten championship? What are we going to say in college football?
Existential crisis. And a lot of people will paint it like a lot of people are going to say the Big Ten and the SEC. I'll look at it as Michigan and Ohio State. That's what I'll
Right.
look at it as. The same way as I always thought it was really dumb when South Carolina fans beat their chest and chanted SEC when Bama and LSU were winning national championships. It's Bama and LSU, and then mix Georgia in. Those are the teams winning the national titles. Now, look, I'm not going to speak ill of the overall competitive depth of the SEC. No one needs to teach me about that. But if I'm looking at, the state of affairs in the SEC, like what does it mean if the Big Ten has the best team in the country this year, maybe even 1-2, and then for all we know, the SEC has 3, 4, 6, 9, and 10. I think it speaks that there's incredible competitive balance, but also competitive top to bottom in the SEC. There are taller mountain peaks in the Big Ten. Like that's not a crazy concept to me. People will make a much bigger deal about it than should be made about it. What I'll ask is, what kind of praise does Ryan Day deserve? We're right in the middle of it, so this all could be moot, but that guy lost so much. And you have Penn State paid ungodly money to take your defensive coordinator and what you improved defensively.
It's
Just
well,
not supposed to
Julian.
happen. Chip Kelly,
Peop
you lose Chip Kelly, and anyone would have taken that job, by the way. And you're in a position where you can promote from within. It just, I cannot speak highly enough of the job they've done there. And they're playing like their lives are on the line every
right.
week, the same way Saban's Bama teams used to look.
Football season's here, and if you want to go to an NFL or college football game, Game Time is the place for you. The Game Time app just gives you the advantage back to you, the fans. It's a hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in a few taps. I love it. Easy to use. The Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. 100%. So they even let you preview your seat on the app. That's special. Plus, fees are always included. So what you see is what you pay every time. Take the guesswork out of buying professional football tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account. If you use the code Colin, COLIN, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code COLIN, $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. I'll tell you, Julia's saying nobody's talking about him because he's not coming out, right? He's young.
Right.
And Mendoza and Dante Moore in his conference are getting deserved love. And Jaden Mayava, like the quarterback play in the Big Ten, since you brought those Pac-12 schools in, has gone way up very quick. I mean, even Mendoza's from Cal. So it's like the one thing the Pac-12 brought to the Big Ten was quarterback play. Like it's just better. Julian Sand is something else. Right? What is that? I mean, he is really, really good. And even if you go back to that Texas game in the opener, Arch got all the love. It was like Julian just like, I mean, even though he was home, it's like he's the nervous one. Arch Manning, as I told you, Thanksgiving with the Mannings is an event. Like Julian Sand was like Arch Manning, Texas, national TV. I was like, holy shit, that kid's good.
Yeah.
He's really, really good player. I think he was a 5-star kid too, so it's not shocking.
I think also, if you remember back to the spring, it was presented in Columbus as this is a legitimate quarterback battle. Sometimes they
That's
BS
right.
you on quarterback battles.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of times it's not the case. I think that was an authentic quarterback battle. Like it wasn't that he was a surefire 3 years from now, first round NFL draft pick kid in spring. But where he is he's sitting there in the most fertile developmental soil in college football. And so he's got God-given ability that's few can match, but he's developed week over week. Like you can look at the progression, it's almost linear,
Yeah.
which is a hallmark of the best coaches and the best programs. That's why the same ones continue to win over and over again. But like week one, and then week two, and then week six, and then week nine, and you're looking at him and you're saying, wow. And that's the first year of him. They get one more.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he has one or two, but yeah, he's been pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah. And by the way, those two receivers, oh my God. I joked
Yep.
the other day. Just if you're an NFL GM, just draft a wide receiver from Ohio State every year. Your depth chart will be fine. Just take only Buckeyes. Because I mean, Harrison's now playing better. Ibuka's amazing. JSN's incredible. This Cornell Tate, I mean, he's the overshadowed one. He's the two. Man body, unbelievable hands, grip on the football, forceful. Yeah, Ohio State's good. I mean, I don't know if Indiana could compete. I think Ohio State's really good. Josh Pate, the Josh Pate show. We do this every couple of weeks. I can't wait. So we both like Bama. I like USC narrowly. I think you like USC. I'll take Georgia. We agree there. Good seeing you, buddy.
Good to see you, man.